So now that we've talked about Windrock and everything, now I want to know about you. Now I want to know.
Hold on a minute, folks. He wants to know about me now. You all tell him, okay? You all on the channel, you tell him about me.
All right. So my name's Dave Bosco. I'm with Bosco's Offroad, and I'm with Ron Durant, trail maintenance supervisor for Windrock Park.
How you doing, Dave?
So thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure.
A little chilly out today, but
it is. I'm gonna have to dig the Carhartts out tomorrow.
So I guess the biggest question is, are you originally from Tennessee?
No, I'm not. Actually, I moved to Tennessee in 1988 with my wife and my 2 kids. My parents were living up here. They retired up here, and we were living in Florida. And I had lived in Florida all my life, and I met my wife there. And we decided we didn't want to raise our kids in that environment down there. So we moved to Tennessee, and I actually live a little bit of distance from here. I live in Crossville, Tennessee, which is a 50-mile drive for me every day. And that's 100 miles round trip. And I've done that for 14 years. And I've wore out 3 cars. So yeah, it's quite a drive for me, but we live in Crossville, Tennessee. And I love it up here in Tennessee.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. So what did you do before this, like for a living?
Yeah, so I was raised in a business my mom and dad owned. We were in the hotel business in Florida. So I was raised in Daytona Beach, and my dad owned several hotels there. So I was raised in that business. I went off to college at Indiana State University it was about 1977, I think, when I graduated. I graduated from high school in 1976 and went to college at Indiana State. And I lived up there in Illinois with my aunt for a while. And then after I got done with college, I moved back to Florida, got back on the family business, but then I decided that's really not what I wanted to do. When we moved to Tennessee, I really didn't have anything that was I could offer Tennessee, except being in the motel business. And I did work on a farm for a while in Illinois when I was going to college. And I started doing construction. That's what I started doing. And I just kind of fell into it. Well, my stepdad owned a excavating business. So I was working with him. And then he retired back in 2010-ish. And when he did, I had to go do something on my own. So I was doing like building new houses and doing remodels. And then this job came open. They advertised for a trail maintenance supervisor. And that was in 2010. And I applied for the job. I was one of 5 that applied for the job. And I came here for the interview and met Brent Galloway, the general manager, who's still the general manager, still my boss, still my supervisor. And we struck a deal, and I came to work for Windrock. Wow. And I was Windrock's, as far as I know, because the gentleman that was before me was a contract dozer operator. I was Windrock's first trail maintenance supervisor. And when I got here, there was 1 additional employee here already. He had been here several years. So yeah, I was like the first. So
wow, that's crazy. So that wraps up pretty much the question I was going to say, what brought you here?
Well, the job, I mean, everybody looks at this job, and I did too when I started. Everybody looks at this job as, oh, trail maintenance, that's my dream job. That's what I want to do, Yep. Well, let me tell you something, folks. It's just a job. After 6 months, everybody who's come here and said that, 6 to 12 months, I tell them, I said, you won't be saying that in 12 months because it's just a job. So right. Yeah, it's really exciting. I used to ride a lot, okay, and over the years I've gotten away from it. So when I retire in December this year, I hope to get back more about riding for myself and my personal self. Yeah.
Because it's different when you have to do that.
Yeah.
For your job.
Yeah.
Because then it's not fun anymore. It's fun, but it's not your hobby, so to speak. It's your job.
I mean, I've wore out more side-by-sides than I have cars. Okay. Yeah. We put a lot of miles on our side-by-sides.
So for the people that don't know, how big is Windrock?
Oh, it's big. It's damn big. So the easiest way for me to tell somebody how big Windrock is, and I can tell you by acreage, It's 73,000 acres. It is privately owned. It's owned by the same company for the last 152 years, now 152 years. We just went through our sequential anniversary 2 years ago this fall.
Mhm.
Okay, we had the grand opening for this new store and all that. It was a big blowout deal. There's 73,000 acres here, owned by the private company. We have over 322 miles plus of trails and roads and different things, but mostly trails that we maintain. And the easiest way to tell them is it's 26 miles approximately from the north end of the property down to the south end of the property. We sit at the south end of the property. So if you want to go to Carabel Flats on the north end, it's about 26 miles. And at the widest spot, I think it's about 7, maybe 6, 7 miles at the widest spot. So it's a very long piece of tract of ground between, the south and the north end of the property. We cover 4 counties. Okay.
That was one of my questions.
Yeah, we're in 4 different counties. So we have property taxes in 4 different counties.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy for them to keep up with it. We have a lot of old houses that were left over from the coal mining days that people are still in. I'm not sure what the details about it are, but the only thing I can think of is they had a company house and it stayed in the family like for 99 years or something like that. So
Right.
we still have a lot of those houses out there that we maintain. We don't maintain them, but we have leases on them and people pay us for that. And it's very cheap, very
Wow.
economic.
So there's a lot more that goes on.
We have over
than what you
400.
see.
We have 400 natural gas wells on the property, and you've probably seen some of those
Yep.
riding around. Those big green tanks and beige tanks. Those are gas wells, natural gas. We did have coal mining going on. That kind of ended here in 2010 or so. We harvest our own timber. We have sustainable growth of 5 million board feet a year on the property. We harvest 5 million board feet a year.
Wow.
So, we make money on our land. The recreational side of the business is new, fairly new compared to the rest of the company. I mean, the trails and stuff didn't really start until like 2000. Well, the company didn't take it on until about 2009. Windrock was the Coal Creek company in the beginning.
Right.
We've been rebranded and changed our name. But previous to that, the Windrock ATV Club ran the trails. Okay, and that's the shirt right there. So, yeah, the club ran them, and Windrock Coal Creek didn't want nothing to do with it really. So the ATV Club ran the mountain, sold permits. Coal Creek got a commission from that. And then there were some circumstances that happened with the EPA coming in and having some issues and stuff. And the ATV Club said, "Hey, we can't handle this," and threw it back at Coal Creek. Said, "Here, it's yours." So they decided to build on it and run.
Wow.
They had built this brand new campground in 2008, the initial part of it, multi-million-dollar campground, and they had to do something. So they started doing the trail system themselves and selling permits themselves and everything.
So as it's grown, like how many people a year actually come here? Do they even know? Like,
well, they know, but I don't know. That's a good question. Okay, I don't have the answer to that question, but they know based on permit sales. They have demographics. They know when they sell permits, they know what percentage are Jeep people, what percentage are side by side. When you buy your permit, you check that little box. And they capture your email address so they can send you information that's going on around the park and stuff. So I don't really know. It's a good guess,
it's
but
just crazy the amount of people that is.
I know.
You see all the time.
Yeah,
I mean, it's constant.
Back before COVID, happened, things were a little bit quieter during certain periods of the year when there wasn't a whole lot of people here. Mainly like from Christmas till March was really quiet. They gave the campground time to shut down for 2 or 3 days and give those people time off that they deserved, that they had to work through the year because of holidays and stuff. But now it seems like there's just people here all the time. I mean, you could almost come in here on Monday through Thursday and not see too many people. Now it's just all the time. You can't count on that anymore.
Wow. So employee wise,
Mm-hmm.
how many do you know how many people are employed here?
Yes. So,
and what kind of jobs are there?
well, working for Windrock.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's probably, I'm going to guess on this, but I'm probably pretty close. There's probably about 53 to 55 employees somewhere in that area, and that includes the corporate office and on the park. The biggest employer, the biggest department is the campground. They have the most. They have the housekeepers, the maintenance staff, the office staff, and all that. And then probably the second biggest employer is the general store as far as employees go. And then our department's the smallest. The trail maintenance department's 2 people. That's it. Two
Wow.
people. 2 people take care of the whole trail system.
That's crazy.
Yeah, this is the way I equate things, and I'm not being boastful or not being, self-centered about it, but the trail maintenance department takes care of the biggest asset that Windrock Park has. Because if you think about it, without the trail system, the park's nothing. Okay? You have to have the trails. That's what people come here for. They don't come to stay at the campground per se. They come to the trails, and the campground happens to be here. The rental cabin's the same way, So we have about that many. Now, we started out, when I first started here, on the park, not counting the corporate office, but on the park, there was only 5 employees here, maybe 6. We had 6 employees back in 2011. So if I would stay till January 20th, which I won't, it would be 14 years for me that I've been here.
Okay. Obviously, you like what you do.
Oh, well, it's one of them jobs that if I didn't get paid, I'd probably still do it anyways. You have to love your job. You have to love the trail system. You have to love the people. And I do. I really enjoy my job a lot. And it's really hard for me to accept my retirement. It's getting easier as I get closer, but I gave 2 years notice. To my boss to replace me because, well, 2 things. One, I wanted to see the job done right. Okay. I wanted to see hopefully some of the stuff I put into place to take care of the trail system carried on. So you have to train somebody to do that. You just can't shove somebody in the job and say, here's a bulldozer and here's a truck,
Right.
They have to be taught about water controls, sediment control, and regulations.
And also, I mean, as somebody like myself that's hauled construction equipment, it's way different on a flat piece of ground to operate a piece of machinery than it is on the side of this mountain.
It is. So when I came here, that was one of the questions in the interview that Brent asked me. He wanted to know. He had some questions for me about my operator part of it, the dozer part. But one of the questions was, had I ever operated a dozer in the mountains before? And I had not. Okay, I mainly on the flat ground, grading home sites and parking lots and things like that. And when he asked me that question and I gave him the answer, I says, concerns? He says, rocks. So he said, rocks.
Rocks and metal tracks.
Yeah, rocks and metal tracks. And they are like ice skates, okay, when you combine that. So when I first started here, it was very intimidating for me at first. It took me a while. It took me a while to get used to their dozer. It took me a while to traveling up on the mountain with the dozer, unloading it and working with it. And then, of course, going down the trails. Now, I'm not scared of heights or anything like that, and I'm not really scared of equipment, what it will do, okay? I'm a kind of a seat of the pants operator. I feel the machine under me, okay? And that's kind of hard to explain, okay? And it's just an acquired thing. It's like almost like machine zen, okay? You're one with the machine. So that's the way I am when I'm operating. For the first, until about 4 years ago, I was in an open cab dozer. So we worked in the wintertime. Carhartts are your friend, okay, big time. I even tried to rig up a heater system. This is pretty funny story. Everybody knows a bulldozer blows the air out of the radiator, not suck it in like a truck or a car would. It goes the opposite direction. So the heat was going out the front. So I actually cut a piece of plywood and placed around the front of the radiator with zip ties and cut 4-inch holes. And I had 4-inch corrugated drain pipe that you put on your gutters come back in the cab on me like this. And I'm telling you, it was cold. Now, I mean, there were 15, 20 degree mornings I was dozing on that seat, and it actually worked out pretty well. So they bought a new dozer 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and this one's cab and got heat and air in it and all that, so it's a little more comfortable in there. But yeah.
Wow. Well, hey, you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
So how is the winter time? Like somebody like myself would think that, is there much to do in the winter?
Yeah. So our normal working season, trail wise and machinery wise, is from about mid March. Sometimes a little bit later. It might be mid April. Depends on the spring we have. But the trails got to be dry. We can't work them in the wet until about November. We might stretch it into the 1st of December. Just depends. And we're hoping for that this year. We did get that last year. We had a little bit longer working season. We were able to get more done. From November till March, we do other things. There might be special projects around the park. We have a mulching head for our excavator. We'll go mulch on some of the trails and brush them back, get them,
Right.
ones that we're not going to doze. We work on signage. Signage is a big, big pet peeve of mine. We do a lot of signage. We do all the signage for the park. Anything that requires heavy equipment, a bobcat, dozer, excavator, all those things we have, we are called on to go work on the park. So we have done parking lots for rental cabins, for new cabin sites. We've cleared trees, everything, and again, that's just with 2 guys.
Right. Well, it keeps you busy. I mean, it gives you stuff to do.
We have to be very efficient at your job.
Right.
And even when I go home at night, I'm thinking about next week, or I might be thinking about next month. Brent may give us some projects to do, and they may not be a big hurry, but I have to work that into our schedule. And then logistically, because we're such a big area, if you're transporting equipment around, you have to be smart about it. You can't get anything done if you're traveling over here one day and then going away 15 miles over here the next day and then back over there the next day. You need to concentrate your workload and get it all done at one time while you're there.
Area, yeah.
Right. So you're not moving around so much, and that's how you be efficient at your job.
So the campground, we've noticed that they've been doing a lot of improvements, a lot of things getting done. The last time we were here, they were still under construction on the new section where we're at now. It's complete. It's way different to us, that campground, than others that we've been to, because the spots are so much bigger. So they give you a lot of privacy and a lot of room. So what we feel is, correct me if I'm wrong, is they're more concerned about, it seems like they're more concerned about the customer than they are the dollar.
Well, I would say so. If you look at, that's one thing about this company, everything, when we're dealing with the customers and when they're dealing with employees, they do it both ways. It's not just the customer. They're very fair about how they deal with the public. Okay. We are pretty much open book as far as the company goes. The campground improvements, when they get ready to do those improvements, like when they added that new addition up there, they went to the campground staff. They wanted to hear what they were hearing from the customers. The customers would tell the managers or the girls in the office or whoever. So they took all that input, okay, and out of that came like information like buddy sites, okay.
Right. Yes, that's a big thing we
right
saw.
And that's a big thing. I mean, they stay full all the time, and that was a big deal. Buddy sites. The new section of the campground is paved. The sites they're concrete. They're really level. Okay. I don't know if you noticed that or not. They're really level.
We used absolutely nothing when we unhooked.
Yeah.
I mean, it was,
So there was a lot of thought put into that area there. There's about, I want to say it's about 8 acres there. I'm not sure. I did some clearing many years ago so they could investigate it for this project. And I went in with the dozer and cleared it all out so they could see it. There was a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, because the last time we were here, we took some drone shots of the dozer that was out there doing some things.
Yeah.
That was very interesting just to see how tedious that was.
Yeah.
It's such a big area. They had some infrastructure in place at the time, some of the piping.
Yeah. So it took them, it was over a year, probably a year and a half, maybe closer to 2 years to complete that project. There was a lot going on. You had underground utilities, underground sewer. water, electrical, and all the way up to the planting of the trees that are there now. The campground maintenance staff did that on their own. But it was a big project, and I want to say it was multi-million dollars.
Yeah, it's definitely impressive, and that was the thing that we got out of the whole campground was, wow, you have so much space.
Yeah.
So many campgrounds want to cram people in there because they want that extra dollar. They don't, it's even though you're only here to ride, sometimes you go back and you just want to hang out. You don't want to have somebody super close to you. And it's really nice.
So I think it's a big advantage for us because we have the land. Okay, we own the land. As far as flat land, we don't have a lot of flat land.
Right.
So trying to find flat land, we have to make it. So it costs money to make that land flat. That land that the new campground addition's on, it was not flat. It actually started from the front, it dipped down and went up. So like in the middle, it was like down here. I can't remember what the difference in elevation gain was when they bought it all across there. So it was like 14 feet of fill, the way they did it, 14 feet of elevation change.
It's an impressive, and it's an impressive
Yeah, it's
thing.
something to be proud of. They did a really good job with it, I thought.
So now that we've talked about Windrock and everything, now I want to know about you. Now I want to know.
Hold on a minute, folks. He wants to know about me now. You all tell him, okay? You all on the channel, you tell him about me.
I see some of this stuff on the channel, so it's a tough crowd out there. Some of them are tough out there.
Most of them are not. Most of them are pretty nice. There are some people that are difficult to deal with sometimes, and I handle social media in a different way. And if it's somebody like that, I just ignore them. My grandmother raised me differently. Okay, I'm respectful. I try to be respectful of all people. I'm no different than another human. If you push me, you may find out how I am.
That's it. So, like, you and you alone specifically, what is your job?
My job.
When you took on the supervisor job. So people would think supervisor, you're going to sit there and say, you got to do this, you got to do this, and you sit back. But the problem is there's only two of you. So you're doing a lot of this work yourself.
Yeah. So I am a person who does work. I'm not a supervisor in the true sense. I should have been. I might have been a better person if I had been. But being that I had to do a lot of the work also, then that would make me maybe a little distracted or displaced from things, because I was too busy thinking about my job and thinking about my employee. Not just about the job too. You have to think about safety, okay, a lot.
Right.
And I'm always having to watch myself and my employee to make sure my employee's doing it safely. The whole time I've been here, and I've had several employees. They don't come and stay very long. It's I don't know why, but they just don't. I have never had anybody injured on the job. Okay, I've had them injured at home, and couldn't come back to work for a while. But I've never really had anybody injured on the job doing trail maintenance. Some of the things that I do, one of the things, some people know this, some don't, I take care of the map. It's my responsibility to take care of the map of the park. I do all the GPSing. I do all the, we go out and do inspections in the wintertime. It's another thing we do in the wintertime, and see if trail designations have changed. And if they have, we'll do that on the next map revision. We'll make a change, maybe take it from blue to black or from green to blue. We try to hold our trails at their designation. So if it's a blue trail now, we try to keep it at a blue trail. But there's just some circumstances that don't allow us to do that.
Right. Yeah, nature is very difficult to
Water
fight.
is our enemy.
Right.
Okay, people are constantly on Facebook blaming groups. They're blaming the Jeeps. They're blaming the side-by-sides. They're blaming the four-wheelers. They're blaming the horses. We don't have any horses, but but here's the thing. When the biggest culprit we have, there's two things. One is not hitting the four-wheel drive switch on your machine and causing wheel spin on hills, those kind of things. And what happens is you displace dirt. Then water, instead of running in the ditch that we provided for or in the place that we want the water to run to keep erosion from happening in the trail, all of a sudden it finds its way out to that rut, that dirt rut you created.
Right.
It's gone from there. Once it gets in there, it's diverted, and it just keeps chewing away at it. And it don't take very long to get down and make a pretty good sized rut here. And water is our second biggest enemy. Four-wheel drive button's number one, and water's number two. It's not the type of machines. Okay.
So
hate to tell you folks that, but it's not Jeeps.
It's a combination of everything. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the Jeeps, the side-by-sides, because they're not using the four-wheel drive and nature, because you can't stop that. You can't stop water.
No, you can't stop it.
Um,
You can control it
to a point.
Well, to a point, but there are practices that we use. We use turnouts, nicks, and we have an excavator. It goes with the dozer quite frequently because we do a lot of digging in the trail to make a ditch. If you can crown your tread, if you can crown it a little bit and shed some of the water that way, it's good. And then another thing we use is what we call sump holes, okay, or pots. Some people call
That
them
was
pots.
exactly what I wanted to ask you next. Is
Okay.
how do you find that works out very well?
Yes, we started doing that practice probably about 7 years ago, and it was Brent's idea. He had been involved in some other things with Southern Four-Wheel Drive Association, and Brent's part of that organization because he's a Jeeper. And Brent come up with the idea. We didn't have any way to do it until we bought an excavator one year. We bought
Right.
a little small Bobcat excavator, like a 335 or something like that, real small, could barely pick itself up. And he took us out and showed us how to create sump holes or pots. And the idea behind that is your water comes down the tread, and you have a little bit of a water bar there, okay, to stop it from going any farther and divert it. And we usually cut them water bars at a 30-degree angle, and that water would divert. So all this sediment that came with that water would fall into that pot and percolate down to the bottom of it. And then what was left was just, murky water going over the side of the pot, the dam. And it works. You go up there, we go up probably about twice a year. We have three main trails that we do this on, okay? Trail 2, 22, and the connector trail going up to the campground. Those are the three. They're close to creeks. They're close to water. And you go up there and clean them out twice a year, and you get a lot of sediment out of there. And you can just say to yourself, okay, all that would have ended up down in that creek. We stopped it from going down there, okay? We don't apply that back to the tread. We pile it off to the side and let it dry. And then the next time we come through, we just doze it off and then keep piling it up there. You can't apply loose dirt back on the tread like that unless it's summertime, because it becomes mud.
Right.
It's loose. You got to work it into the soil.
So I guess even with those holes, that would create, with the pots, that would create less, I guess, erosion, so to speak, off the side also. And for some people that don't know what that is, I'm going to try to post a picture. I don't know if you have one or not, so they can actually see what that is.
You can probably take one on the trail up there and show
but
them.
I'm gonna take a picture and show them exactly what that is, because it's weird. Because a lot of people, when we first started riding, it was like, oh look, that's a nice little place to park and eat lunch, because it was just this little cutoff that went off the trail, and you could back up and be out of everybody's way. Not realizing, because when we were new to this, it was we didn't know anything about any of this, and mainly this part was very intimidating for us, because we saw the YouTube channels, we saw Devil's Elbow, Trail 15, Rattle Rock, and it was like, that's not for us. We just like to ride the trails. And we bit the bullet. We came here. We were here for 12 days, and this place is amazing. There is something here for everyone, whether it's little kids. We saw the little kids the other day. Like, there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them here right now because they're out of school.
Right.
They're on break.
There's something for everyone here. It's not just what everybody sees on YouTube,
Well, that kind of goes along with the videos that I do on my channel, the Windrock TV channel, the Trail of the Week. So yeah, I see those videos too. You see all the hard stuff, Trail 15, Trail 39, Devil's Elbow, all those things. That's what you see. That's what a lot of people want to see. They want to see the action.
Right.
But a lot of us that are in the sport are like my age in their 50s and 60s, and they don't really want that. So, I felt like, and I didn't know how it was going to work out. I was going to do these trail of the week videos, okay, and ride the entire trail in real time. So what you see, the length of the video is 30 minutes or 40 minutes. Well, that's how long it took me to drive at about 12 miles an hour through the trail. And I try to give a description. I show the map as I'm driving, so you can kind of see where I'm at. If there's a difficult part of the trail, I'll stop and talk about it and show you on the map where it's at, so you anticipate it when it's coming.
Right.
And I tell you what kind of machine I'm in. I'm in a stock type machine, so everybody should be able to feel like, oh, I can do that.
Right.
So
yeah, that's the big thing is you don't have to have tens of thousands of dollars invested in something just to ride the trails. You really don't. No. So I guess to deviate from everything, what drives you crazy? What are some of the things that just now the other day you posted a video about people going around the sign? So that's what kind of sparked that off. That's not just that, but
that probably is my biggest pet peeve. People do not read signs. They do not read, and they're not aware of their environment when they're here. And I don't understand that. Right down there, down the road, just before you get to my shop on Windrock Road, is a 4-foot by 8-foot sign that says speed limit 15 miles an hour in the trailhead. And people blast by that all the time. It's like they don't see that 4-foot by 8-foot sign. And then you get up on the trails. We have signs on the trail. Now, if there's a trail number sign that's about this big, they see that.
Right.
But if you see, there's people that we will go out and work on trails. Now, if we are on a popular trail like 22 or something where we know there's going to be a lot of traffic, we will actually shut the trail down for the day. We'll put a traffic cone out that's got a sign that says trail closed for maintenance. And we'll put those out, okay, at each entrance. And inevitably, you'll get somebody coming down the trail. And then when you ask them, did you not see the sign? No, we didn't see the sign. We go back to pick it up and it's still there. They had to seen it. They went right by it. They had to seen it. And then a lot of people will say, like, they'll come up with an excuse of anything. And a lot of them will say, well, we thought that was an old sign. We didn't think it was really closed, and they don't understand that. So they're just like this project we're working on, P1. We've had a lot of issues, but I kind of attribute some of it to the wording of that sign, because not everybody that comes here knows that what you're standing on is P1, okay? They don't know that. I think, sometimes just a plain sign that says road closed. End of story. Road's closed, right. Okay? Trail closed. We do that too, trail closed. It's pretty plain when we put those signs out. So I'm a big proponent about simple, precise wording. I don't use please. I don't use thank you in my signs.
Right.
I just say trail closed, stay on the trail, keep out, those kind of things.
And it's basically
it still don't get the message through.
Well, it's basically for safety reasons. And what people need to realize is when you're in a piece of construction equipment, you hear nothing but your equipment.
Right.
You are focused on your tracks. You're focused on the blade.
Yep.
You know where you are when you back up.
Yep.
And it's very difficult to turn your head back because you're watching your tracks.
So that's probably my third pet peeve. That's one reason we close these popular trails down. People do not respect the heavy equipment on the trail. We do not see them. Okay. Right. I'm not constantly looking in my rearview mirror to see who's behind me. I'm aware of my environment, where I'm at. I know where I can turn. And then all of a sudden you'll turn around, or you might glance up at the mirror and you'll see a headlight in it. Okay. Or you might turn your head and there's somebody right behind you. And you could have backed up very quickly and run over them.
Right.
And they don't understand that. So that's why we close trails sometimes when we're working on them, just to keep the people away from us, because they don't respect the heavy equipment.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. So you are retiring.
Yes, I'm retiring.
What is the date?
December 31st of this year.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll be 67 years old in 8 days.
Wow.
On 23rd of October, I turned 67. So I'd always thought, growing up, I'd work till I died. And I think a lot of men think that way. I enjoy work. I'm still pretty healthy. So, but there's been some circumstances around me, not personally, but just around me that I've seen. I thought, you know what? I got a lot of things I want to do. I don't need to continue working. And my wife retired 2 years ago, and she never said you're going to retire. But when I told her shortly after she retired, I decided I'm going to retire in 2 years, and she was supportive and
Sure.
behind me on that. So a lot of people on the channel may know this. On my channel, which this is going to be on my channel too, but on your channel, my hobby is photography. Okay, I do a lot of wildlife photography, nature photography. I like to hike. I like to go to waterfalls and things like that. Well, with this job hinders that a lot because I can't spend. I only got weekends.
Right.
So I'm hoping when I retire, I can do a little more traveling and enjoy myself a little bit more with that, my hobby, photography.
Well, it's good. So where can people find that? Is that on Facebook, YouTube?
Yes. So and I'll give you a link you can put in the description or something. My photography channel is called Ron Durant Photography. So you can find it like that, Ron Durant Photography, and that's on my YouTube channel there. I have a website for my photography pictures. It's www.photosbyron.com, www.photosbyron.com. Some people might say Byron. No, not Byron. It's Byron.
Byron.
Yeah, photos, Byron. And they can find photographs there. And then if you stay in a cabin in Windrock, okay, if you go to a cabin in Windrock and you see photographs, canvas photographs in there, those are all mine.
Wow, interesting.
I've provided all the canvas prints for the cabins here free of charge to them. There are pictures of on the property. There's some photographs in here. If you go down the bathroom hallway to the bathroom, there's photographs there.
There's group photos.
That's the company ride photos.
So that's really neat. We were looking at that.
Yeah, they're in the hallway going down the bathroom down there. So yeah,
very interesting. Very nice. Very nice that they take time out to be able to do that.
Yes, we'll have our group ride on October 29th this month, I think, and we'll do our fall ride with the company. And we take all the rental machines and all the employees get together, and even if they've never ridden one before, we go somewhere. So,
good. Wow. So, okay. So, my last question to you: what advice would you give the employees about focusing towards their retirement?
Well, that's a good question to ask me. And I told you in the beginning of the interview, you offered to go through the questions with me, and I said no, we just go through it. So that's going to be a hard one for me to answer. But I can only tell you how I handle my life and how I feel about things. Okay. First off, money's not everything. Okay. Having happiness in your job, being able to get out of bed in the morning and go to work and enjoy your work and having a good time at it and getting the sense of fulfillment that you accomplished something in your life, that to me is more important than any monetary compensation you could get. A lot of people, and I'm a little bit older, and I may have thought this way when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, money has become less important to me. My prestige, my reputation, all that comes into play, and I don't want people to feel ill about me or feel bad about me. I'm sure I've got a few enemies out in the riding community somewhere, and I just take care of them by blocking them. Okay. Right. So I don't worry about them anymore.
Close a trail, right? Yeah. Close a trail on them.
Yeah. Right? Well, I don't worry about them. And some of them are just what I call keyboard bandits, Yeah. But, as far as an employee goes, Windrock Park to me is a great place to work. They care about you. They truly do care about their employees. My boss, Brent Galloway, is a dear friend, and I'm hoping that we still are in contact after I retire, because I think a lot about Brent. as a person, he has a very high sense of integrity, and he's very smart about everything. And when every decision made at this park is a smart move, and he's thought it all out carefully, and it makes it more enjoyable for the employees. When we have good people behind us as bosses, or our COO Claudia Depew. She's been with the company for a long time, and she genuinely cares about you. Just a couple of weeks ago, my wife's mother passed away. She was 98, and I didn't really tell anybody. I just kind of told Brent. But then I got text messages from Claudia and a few others in the company. Tell them it wasn't my mother; it was my wife's mother.
Right.
So they do care about you, and I think most people should think about that when they're working somewhere. It's not just a job, okay? And that's about all I can really say about it.
I figured that was going to be the trickiest question.
It was a hard question, and I probably didn't answer it very well. And you've probably given me something to think about going forward between now and the end of the year. What I would say if somebody asked me that question again, because I really never gave it much thought about that. I get up every morning at 4 a.m. I'm at work by 7:30. It takes me an hour to drive here. I drive home an hour. I don't get compensated for that. I have to pay for my own gas, pay for my own time. So, I work 8 hours a day. I'm here 8.5 hours a day, but I'm also on the road for 2 hours a day. So my full day is like 10.5 hours before I get back home.
Right.
So, that's another reason for retirement. When Brent hired me, he was concerned about the distance. And I'm telling you this, Brent, I never forget anything. When Brent hired me 13 and 14 years ago, that was his biggest concern, is my drive. He didn't give me 6 months. He told me that. He didn't give me 6 months. And here I am 14 years later, still doing the drive. So that says a lot for working for the company and doing this job. Okay. If it wasn't worth it to me, I wouldn't have sacrificed all that. I mean, there's a lot of sacrifice there to come to work like that.
As long as you enjoy what you do, it's not a job.
I love it. And meet people like you, this is great. I've never really sat down with an interview with another YouTube channel like this, so it's been really fun.
I'm glad I got the chance to do it, and I'm glad it's now. Before you retire.
We were going to do it this spring, and you had car trouble or truck trouble.
Yeah, we did have that issue.
You're at Windrock now.
But we're here. So
cool.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you.